Hi friends, I wonder if I'm the only one who feels like the world's gone completely mad? In Saxony-Anhalt, the police accidentally set a record for trust in the personal. One police officer drove service and personal cars for 22 years without a license, and no one noticed. And the officer never actually had a driver license for cars at all. Back in German Democratic Republic, he was issued only tractor and motorcycle permits. Apparently, someone decided that if a man can handle a tractor, he can manage a Volkswagen too. The secret came out in the most ordinary way. The department decided to check whether all officers can proper documentation. They checked and discovered that the man had been driving around towns and villages for more than 2 decades looking like a perfect legal driver without having any legal rights to do so. The officer himself, of course, doesn't see himself as a guilty person. He genuinely believed tractor license automatically applied for cars. Well, why not? If a person can plow a field, why shouldn't he drive detainees around? Flawless logic. How did he even get permission to drive the police car without documents? The police explained it simply. It was the wild 90s, a lot slipped through back then. Sounds as if the driver's license were handed out at the supermarket checkout along with the chewing gum. Now, after 2 decades, the licenseless chauffeur faces charges and disciplinary action. He may be even fired. Yes, after 22 years of honest service not really bothering anyone, suddenly it turns out that the whole thing was slightly illegal. The irony is that throughout all these years, the man seems to have driven better than many fully licensed motorists. It turned out his only real mistake wasn't the lack of license, but failing to apply for one in time. Nell Dyler, a former Alaska Airline flight attendant, now knows sometimes 15 seconds of fame are enough to lose the entire career. One boring day, she decided to entertain herself and filmed a short dance video in an airplane aisle. The plane was empty, 0 passengers. But she was wearing her real uniform, and her moves include a light but recognizable twerk. It seemed like nothing serious, just a 15 seconds of rhythmic optimism. But the internet lives by its own laws. Whatever appears online will eventually appear before management. The clip reached the airplane leadership faster than any flight reaches its destination, and they quickly concluded, the dancing has to go, and so does the flight attendant. Now, Neil sits at home, barely holding back tears, collecting donations online to survive because likes unfortunately don't convert into rent payments. Alaska Airlines representatives refused to comment on personal matters but emphasized, our employees must demonstrate high standard of conduct. Apparently, the high standards do not include law squads. The lesson from Nell is simple and harsh. In the 21st century, dancing in uniform is not a way to cheer up colleagues. It's a one-way ticket from a crew cabin straight into unemployment. A painting by Adolf Hitler, sweetly titled Night Sea, was sold at an auction in Slovakia for 32,000 euros. Someone apparently decided that having the doodles of a future dictator on their wall is the peak of collector sophistication. The starting price was 10,000. Experts value it at 25,000 euros, but those eager to acquire this masterpiece paid even more. At the same auction, a Pablo Picasso painting was listed for 15 million euros, a striking contrast between genuine art and the scribbles of someone who failed to get into an art school. Hitler's 1913 landscape was put up for sale by a family of Slovak painter who may even have met the aspiring artist in Vienna. The audition house owner philosophically remarked that he views Hitler of that period as an artist who did not yet who didn't know what would come later. Oh yeah, well, yes. Back then he was still practicing with the brush, not with the tanks. It's worth noting that in 2011 the same family already sold one of his work titled The Secret Meeting for $10,000. Apparently they had a rather sizable collection of these dull watercolors. Hitler had loved drawing since childhood, but the Vienna Academy, fortunately for the art world, rejected him twice. And it was right to do so, otherwise, who knows, perhaps the would have suffered not from his politics, but from dreary gallery of mediocre landscapes. After failing to enter the academy, he volunteered for World War I and later decided to try himself in politics. History sadly proved that the world would have been far better off had he remained the unremarkable artist with a folder of failed sketches instead of becoming a dictator responsible for millions of deaths. The American dream, you say? Well, here it is, captured in Faces and Minutes. Matthew Privat, the owner of the cleaning company in Georgia, US, decided to hold his own masterclass in time management and politeness. A candidate showed up for an interview a whole 25 minutes earlier, which meant game over, red card, goodbye. The Matthew's logic: this isn't admirable punctuality, but a true crime against corporate etiquette. If you are capable of arriving way too early, it means you don't know how to manage your time, and even worse, you don't respect others. Privat explained his philosophy mercilessly. 5 to 15 minutes early. It's elegant, civilized, almost like a polite bow. But 25? That's a demonstration of chaos in your head. And of course, a candidate wandering around the office for extra minutes might accidentally overhear sacred cleaning secrets like which cloth we use to wash windows, and that's apparently is a threat to the security of the entire business. The internet is usually split into two. Some bash the boss for being nitpicky, others admire his principled stance. And most people just laugh. In a world where traffic jam, broken buses, and delayed flights are the norm, many people would rather arrive early than bash over being late. But Matthew, it seems, lives in a parallel universe where transport always runs on schedule, and an extra 10 minutes of waiting is grounds to cancel someone's career. Well, let's hope his clients pay the bills just as punctually as possible. 1 minute earlier, 1 minute later, and the payment for cleaning gets cancelled. What do you think about it? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, my friends. Share them down in the comments. I'll be reading them all.